I've seen my fair share of horror films, but it's just something about watching it live,
Right?
Yeah. Where it's just like, it just makes you wince and all that. What is your thought process the night before a match like that?
How do you prepare yourself?
You don't. I keep it empty. I like to empty my whole mind. I want to like not think about it at all because with the second you start thinking too much, you're overthinking, and like even with like like when you're on the set on acting, if you overthink, you're not really feeling. You're not making a choice. You gotta make a choice with dynamics where you're going to go with something. You don't want to overthink too much. You want to naturally like this feels right and this is where I'm going to go with it, and you stick to it. And you run it. This is like the same realm, but now you got to add in the danger elements of what could go wrong. And you don't want to think about what could go wrong. You want to think everything is like, I got it in control. This is going to be cake. There's like this will feel something, but it's not going to feel worse. You're not going to try to like, I don't want to think about the worst outcomes. You just think about like the action itself. Yeah. So my for me, I'm like on a video game, mindlessly just playing. You're not really thinking. You're just like letting your like fingers just go across and like just do your actions and stuff like that. And then wake up. And then you kind of want that blank slate when you wake up too. And for me, those elements come into play with like a syringe and things like that. I think back to like horror movies that made you uncomfortable. Yeah, like horror has always been like a underlying tone in my character, which you wouldn't think about with like most black wrestlers. We're very flashy, we're very shiny, we're charismatic, we're athletic. I'm like, yeah, we're all those great things, but like, what's that in addition to? For me, it's like I'm not a horror character, but I have horror elements about my character that I bring into play. Like a Candyman, there's horror elements that bring it into play that still stick with reality. Right. Like, going around Cabrini Green and like the homeless and like, oh, you heard about the stories of Candyman, right? Yeah. It's like, that's a horror undertone to like, still like a real thing, a real situation, live setting. So I was like, okay, how do I take like a Wesley Snipes, Demolition Man, Simon Phoenix in the ring? Because Low Small Movements is based off of his fighting from that. And then a Blade element, but also a New Jack City, but still add horror to all that. And then then when I went into the coffin, I added a little bit more Sweeney Todd into that. So like, and once again, those small little items, there's trinkets are like a barber blade and stuff like that. Like it's an instrument not used for pain, but it is. Right. The purpose isn't to hurt and kill, there. But it can. And so those are where those other elements came through. It's where the eyes started getting darker, because like revenge is on my mind. The task is on my mind. I won't rest till I get it. And that's what I want you to feel and see that with me. Something's not right about him, but I can't put my finger on it. And we're not going to tell you what.
He a little off.
Yeah. So there's a lot of thought process going to that. And so I was like, okay, how do I go a little deeper? Then the next opponent, I'm like, okay, how do I sink a little deeper? Then the next opponent, okay, how do I sink a little bit deeper? And I just push it and push it and push it until like people feel whether it's good or uncomfortable or bad about it. But I need you to feel. Yeah. I need you to feel. And then sometimes you're going to feel different about one opponent than the other. Like Christian was supposed to have a different feel to my character than Hangman was. Like Will Ospreay is a different feel because I like Will. Yeah. Like that's the only opponent that I actually like Will Ospreay a lot. But when it comes to this championship, nothing is above that. Friendship, my love for him and his family, nothing's above that. So I got to get a different feel out of that. And then like Bryan Danielson, I love Bryan. He's an inspiration to me. We come from the same, we're Washington boys. Yeah. We're, there's pride in that. But when it comes to this championship, your legacy doesn't mean shit to me. Yeah. My legacy means more than your legacy because you're going out. I'm going up.
His legacy's already been built.
It's been done. Now, I just want to take that and add to my legacy as I'm climbing, And so all these have to have different meanings and feelings. And so I can't be just the same guy in all of them. No, I need to have you feel here, and then I had to have you feel here. And so a lot of people argue, like, was he face? Is he heel? No, I'm just Swerve.
Right.
I'm Swerve.
Watch new episodes of No Contest Wrestling every Wednesday or listen wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us at No Contest Wrestling Podcast on Instagram.